Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A hearty welcome to all to the National Safety Day 2021 celebrations at VSSC. I extend a most respectful and cordial welcome to the distinguished dignitaries present today to grace this occasion. March 1st to March 7th is observed as Safety Week in the nation, and National Safety Day is celebrated on 4th of March every year to commemorate the establishment of National Safety Council as well as to enhance the safety awareness among employees. The theme of this year's Safety Week is Learn from Disaster and Prepare for a Safer Future. Today, we are here to celebrate the Golden Jubilee National Safety Day celebrations at VSSC, which is aimed at renewing the commitment of employees to work safely throughout the year to help avoid mishaps and enable people to live a safer and more confident life. Let us begin this program by invoking the blessings of the Almighty. I request Kumari Kalyani Vishnu of Flight Computer Division to kindly render the invocation.
Maitrim bhajata akhila hrijetrim Maitrim bhajata akhila hrijetrim Atmavadeva Paranapi Pashyata Atmavadeva Paranapi Pashyata Yuddham Tyajata Spardham Tyajata Yuddham Tyajata Spardham Tyajata Tyajata Pareshwakramamakramanam Tyajata Pareshwakramamakramanam Maitrim bhajata akhila hrijetrim Janani Prathavi Kamadugashte Janani Prathavi Kamadugashte Janako Devaha Sakala Dayalu Janako Devaha Sakala Dayalu Damyata Datta Dayatvam Janata Damyata Datta Dayatvam Janata Shreyo Bhuyat Sakala Jananam Shreyo Bhuyat Sakala Jananam.
Thank you, Kalyani, for the soulful rendition. I now request Shri Jaiprakash J, Chairman, Center Safety Committee, to kindly escort the dignitaries. Director VSSC Shri S. Somanath, Chief Guest of the function Dr. A. Kaushigan IAS, Director IISU Dr. Samdayala Dev D, and Chief Controller VSSC Dr. Biju Jacob to the dais. Shri Prasanna Kumar B, Chairman, Event Management Committee, National Safety Day 2021, and Group Director, Network Security and Technical Services Group VSSC, has played a key role in organizing the 50th National Safety Day celebrations 2021. May I now request you, sir, to deliver the welcome address.
Most respected Director VSSC, S. Somnath, distinguished guests joined to the event Dr. K. Kausigan IAS, Commissioner, Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, and Joint Commissioner Land Revenue, Government of Kerala. Director ISU, Dr. B. Samdayal Dev, Chief Controller VSSC, Dr. Biju Jacob, Associate Director VSSC, Dr. Sri Roy M. Cherian, Associate Director R&D VSSC, Dr. Sharat Chandra Sharma, Deputy Director, Solid Propulsion and Research Entity, and Chairman, Center Safety Committee, Sri J. Jayaprakash, my friends and colleagues, sitting of the dais, JCM representatives, ladies and gentlemen, and those who are watching through virtual platforms like YouTube and intranet. VSSC is the lead center of ISRO for the development of operational launch vehicles. Various R&D and production activities are carried out in the center for improving and mastering the innovative technologies in launch vehicle. Most of these activities are inherently hazardous in nature and has potential for endangering man and material. The Center Safety Committee constituted by Director VSSC, advises the management on all aspects of safety pertaining to the center. We are committed to maintain highest standards of safety, occupational health and environmental protection during all our activities. We shall carry out all activities in an accident-free atmosphere, ensuring safety, enhancing awareness by effective communication and training to control or mitigate the risks. It is effected through lessons learned, safety committee and safety officers in various levels. With this, I wish to come to my present duty of welcoming our dignitaries. Our Director Sri S. Somnath is an exemplary space technologist, great leader, and have given all guidance, suggestions, and support in organizing this event. I extend a warm welcome to you, sir, on behalf of the organizing committee and on my personal behalf. Dr. A. Kausigan is an eminent person holding the responsibility of Commissioner, Disaster Management Authority, and is the most suitable person to give today's Safety Day talk. When we approached sir, myself, Sri N. Satish Kumar and K. Jawarji, he immediately agreed upon to deliver the lecture and express his wishes to visit VSSC and interact with scientists, since he is fond of space-related activities from childhood onwards. In spite of his busy schedule, sir spent a very good amount of time with us. I feel honored to welcome you, sir, on behalf of the organizing committee and on my personal behalf to this function and to deliver the lecture on disaster risk reduction. This topic has generated great interest and we are really eager to hear from you, sir. Dr. D. Sam Dayal Dev, Director ISU, is an expert in the field of navigation system. On behalf of the organizing committee and on my personal behalf, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. I extend a warm welcome to Associate Director VSSC, Sri Roy M. Cherian, and Associate Director R&D VSSC, Dr. Sharachandra Sharma. I extend a hearty welcome to Dr. Biju Jacob, Chief Controller VSSC, to this function. Deputy Director, Solid Propulsion and Research Entity, VSSC, and Chairman, Center Safety Committee, Sri J. Jayaprakash, is responsible for the smooth function of the event, and I extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. My friends, Sri Isaac Daniel, Group Director, Center Safety Management Group, and Sri R. Manoj, Division Head, Center Safety Division, are extended their cooperation and guidance in arranging this function. Extending a wholehearted welcome to them. I extend a hearty welcome to Dr. Benny K. George, Group Director, Analytical Spectroscopy and Ceramics Group, and Chairman, Organizing Committee, who is the person stand along with us in making this event a real. I also extend a warm welcome to VCMC members, JC members, participants, all my dear friends, and those who are watching the program online. Once again, welcome you all for the 50th National Safety Day celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the warm welcome. Sri Jayaprakash J, Chairman, Center Safety Committee and Deputy Director, Solid Propulsion and Research Entity VSSC, is presiding over today's function. May I request you, sir, to deliver the presidential address?
Most respected Director VSSC, Sri S. Somnath, respected Director ASU, Dr. Sam Dayal, today is our guest and invited speaker, Dr. A. Kausigan, Commissioner, Kerala State Disaster Management Authority and Joint Commissioner Land Revenue, Government of Kerala, Associate Director VSSC, Sri Roy M. Cherian, Associate Director R&D VSSC, Dr. Sharachandra Sharma, Chief Controller VSSC, Dr. Biju Jacob, Management Council members of VSSC and IASU, Chairman and members of Organizing Committee and Subcommittees of 2021 National Safety Day celebrations, Group Director CSMG, Sri Isaac Daniel and your team, Safety Officers of entities, groups and divisions, staff representatives of JCM, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. The National Safety Day is being celebrated on 4th March every year from 1972 to commemorate the foundation day of the National Safety Council. Over the years, VSSC also marked the occasion with the safety-related programs to emphasize the importance of safety in our workplace and day-to-day activities. This year also, we are organizing a week-long program from 1st March to 7th March and celebrating the Safety Day in online mode in accordance with the protocols and rededicate ourselves to the cause of safety. The year 2020 was very special for all of us. The spread of pandemic and the lockdowns saw hopes and aspirations of thousands of people around the whole world. Safety and health of dear and near was the topmost priority to all of us. Gradually, initial fears were replaced with caution and care with proper understanding of this pandemic. Wearing of respiratory protection and personal hygiene became order of the day. Awareness on need for protection from the disease of the benefit of self, families, communities and the nation spread everywhere and the responses were overwhelming. This was also a period of health, safety, and environment management systems in institutions across the country. Guidelines and practices to contain and prevent the spread of pandemic were formulated and implemented. VSSC was the first in ISRO to initiate and prepare guidelines for management of safety and health during the lockdown period and subsequent unlock. The guidelines prepared by us was adopted by Directorate of Occupational Health and Safety, ISRO, and implemented across all centers. All our critical facilities were restarted in a systematic way after lockdown. We also had a very few of our employees tested positive, but the timely intervention and disinfection activities of our fire and safety helped it to prevent the secondary spread. In accordance to this year's theme for the Safety Week, learn from disaster and prepare for a safer future, the COVID-19 experiences give us much to think about in managing situations before they become disasters and prepare ourselves for a better future. With this in mind, Center Safety Committee is organizing various events and safety programs this year also to motivate and ensure safety and prevent accidents. As a part of the Safety Week observance, competitions on safety topics, training programs, online exhibitions of safety appliances and gadgets are being arranged. We also have a special talk on the theme of this year's Safety Week by an eminent speaker, Dr. Kausigan, Commissioner, Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, and Joint Commissioner, Land Revenue, Government of Kerala, and the topic is Disaster Risk Reduction. VSSC, the lead center for launch vehicle development, through its well-developed safety management system, strives the responsibility in each individual towards safety. The various safety committees, along with a group of dedicated safety professionals, are in the forefront for this endeavor. These teamwork, along with facilities and projects to ensure that safe practices are adopted right from the inception to the final stage of any activity. Entity-level safety committees and CSMG plays a vital role in executing the recommendations or corrective actions suggested by the Center Safety Committee with respect to various entities, groups, and divisions. In spite of the pandemic and lockdown situations, Center Safety Committee had 10 sittings to review safety critical proposals and recommended suggestions for improving the safety management systems in the center. 34 safety clearances were issued during the year, of which 11 were for clearance for hazardous processes, 4 for location clearance, and 19 for the construction of new buildings and facilities. Some of the important facilities cleared during 2020 include the production hub for PCM, the new Excel curing oven and control room at RPP, buildings for Trisonic wind tunnel, extension to vibration facility at TERS, fuel cell laboratory at INSTEF, extension to ETA process facility, high explosive device assembly facility, a new substation for ASOE, and LOX HDPB hybrid propulsion test bay at PRG. The long pending discussions with the PISO for obtaining licenses for the activities involving energetic materials was initiated with active participation of VSSC, Center Safety Committee, and DOHS headquarters. The proposal prepared by us was discussed with the PISO officials, and a favorable outcome is awaited. Hazardous waste disposal was another key issue faced by us for many years. 5 years MOU with the KAL has helped in disposing of solid waste material accumulated over the years. As much as 64 tons of waste material disposed in 2020. Also, a new MOU has been established for further extending to another 5 more years. So this is available now up to 2026 for continued disposal. However, another major problem faced by our center was the disposal of hazardous liquid waste. Happy to inform that we had established a liquid incinerator in our center, and this entire activity was carried out during the lockdown period and successfully commissioned in January 2021. With this, all our solvent waste generated here can be disposed safely in accordance to the pollution control norms. In line with the guidelines for e-governance, CSE has also implemented the issuance of safety clearance through online. An integrated software for safety management online systems were developed in a short time and introduced towards obtaining safety clearance. This is a user-friendly software which captures all the details required for safety requirements. The storage, transportation, and handling of chemicals is another area which is reviewed by the Central Safety Committee during the year. All chemical stores areas were audited by safety teams, and weaknesses in the current systems identified and proposed suggestions for improvement. Many non-moving, life expired, and not in use chemicals identified and suitable methods selected for its safe disposal. Guidelines for storage prepared and is being implemented in all our facilities. The lockdown period was another opportunity used by our safety team for conducting safety training programs. Online social gathering platforms were successfully used to conduct training programs on topics of safety. In total, 26 training programs, including online classrooms, were conducted in 2020, and more than 1,200 people benefited from that sessions. In spite of the best efforts by the safety teams, a few incidents were also reported during the year. A total of 27 incidents involving few minor injuries reported. 8 incidents of fire also reported during the year. The fire incidents which occurred in IASU and Doppler weather radar UPS was brought under control by timely actions of the fire responders. These are a reminder on the need to be ever vigilant and that we cannot permit even the minutest lapses in our safety systems. All the incidents were investigated by safety teams and recommendations made to ensure they do not recur. The safety management system in VSSC is a result of great teamwork between divisional safety officers, safety professionals, and safety committees at various levels working in unison to achieve the target goal of total safety and zero accident rate. Above all, it is the commitment of each and every person for the cause of safety, which is a key to an accident-free work environment. At this juncture, let me request one and all to rededicate ourselves in ensuring a very safe and healthy workplace. Jai Hind.
Thank you for the highly informative address. It is indeed a great privilege to have with us Shri S. Somanath, Director, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. Most heartily we invite you, sir, to inaugurate the maiden online National Safety Day celebrations 2021 and thereafter to deliver the inaugural address.
Good morning, all of you. Sri J. Jayaprakash, Deputy Director of SPRE, Chairman of CSE, who is presiding today's function. Dr. A. Kaushigan, IAS, Commissioner of Kerala State Disaster Management Authority and Joint Commissioner for Land Revenue, Government of Kerala. Dr. Sam Dayala Dev, Director, IASU. Dr. Biju Jacob, Chief Controller, VSSC. Associate Directors of VSSC, Sri Royam Cherian and Dr. Sharad Sharma. And all the senior colleagues, participants, for this 50th National Safety Day celebration. This hall used to be full during our earlier Safety Day celebrations, but today, due to the restrictions in participation, I am seeing very less number of people. But I'm really happy this is online and all of you are able to see and participate in the Safety Day celebration. The 50th National Safety Day celebration being held on this day, the 4th of March. See, when I talk about safety or think about safety, it reminds me of my joining VSSC in the early 85 time frame. And as a young engineer, I went to Sriharikota. There the launch of ASLE was getting prepared. So I went to the assembly hall. So I found a man there. He is wearing a white uniform written with blue color safety. And he's such a powerful fellow there. You know, I was thinking the project directors and others, senior people are the most important people there. But I found this man is regulating everybody. He's not allowing us to carry any metallic materials. He was making sure our shirt is not made of nylon or any terlin. It's only cotton is wearing, and you are not having any elements of danger in your pocket. So you are supposed to. Mostly those time people were using very lot of smokers around, and they will carry some match boxes and cigarette boxes in your pocket. So you will collect all of them, put in a pigeon hole. So all were collected, and then we were asked to then go to the vehicle and then see that. So I realized that this man is so powerful, the safety person. And Srivastava, you know him sometimes. He was such an influential person at that time in Sriharikota in creating the awareness about safety and the system for safety related to our launch vehicles. I couldn't understand why all this drama going around at that time. And so much of importance given to this person, creating all sort of trouble for us. He is not allowing us to move. Later, not the first day, later days when we started working also, we realized this man is such a nuisance creator. It doesn't allow us to take anything, doesn't allow us to move, don't allow us to look at the vehicle. He says that you can't touch you must first have the metallic wire hang so that you ground yourself before you touch the rocket. So much of restrictions. But it took time for us to understand what is behind all this drama going around in the name of safety. As a young engineer, I couldn't fathom the depth of the risks which are associated with the rocket building and preparation, because we are dealing with high explosives around. The solid motor, once it is fully prepared and kept with the igniter assembled and the nozzle, it is really potential, such a danger we don't realize when we started working around it, doing a lot of work. Or even look at handling a heavy mass of few tons using crane. And it can lead to such a dangerous situation, which I have also witnessed in my career. Many such accidents and events I could witness, in which many of the lives of our colleagues were lost also. I also has been a part of the investigating team to understand the explosion of a solid motor which killed 5 of our colleagues at Sriharikota. They couldn't even think about the time to escape from that place. It was such a short incident. Of course, many of these events taught us the lessons on how to look at safety in our day-to-day activities. Of course, I am not talking about the bigger risks or dangers now associated with rocket building. Even the small things matter. Even designing a rocket part for the first time, it does matter, because the safety of the mission is actually dependent on how carefully that you are designing an element for the rocket, how a joint is designed, how a pneumatic system is designed, how an electronic circuit is designed, how a current requirement is derated to ensure safety of the device, how the pressure vessel margins are assigned to it, how the load factors have a margin to ensure that it doesn't exceed the load during the flight. Many small things we learned. And over the years, this learning has been accrued, and then we have created a system here in this organization in which safety has an important role. It is not based on Srivastavas or some people who have an idea about the safety and he was insisting you should not do this, you should not do that. We started writing down the documents ourselves and creating procedures in the organization for everything, starting from writing down the specifications, carrying out design, carrying out testing, like cranes or loading systems, or even pressure testing, structural testing, functional testing of high energy systems, and so on and so forth. So much of procedures have been developed looking at safety as one of the important criteria for all our activities. And this has resulted in, brought us a lot of benefits. I think I must tell you that the whole process over the years has really benefited. And one thing we realized, that the safety is not the role that has to be played by Srivastavas alone. It is something that has to be played by everybody in the system. So the importance of Central Safety Committee and the Safety Week celebration is basically to bring about the awareness among all of us that safety is everybody's responsibility. It is not the responsibility of the safety implementation team or Central Safety Committee or some professionals who have been trained professionally in the industrial safety. It is not their responsibility. It is responsibility of everybody, starting from the one who is working on mopping the floor to ensure that it is not slippery. Because I was reading the other day that most of the falls, 64% of the fall are always at the same level, at the ground level. And very rarely only people actually fall from height and then injure themselves. So if you attend to the slippery floor itself, more than 50% of the injuries can be minimized, or even toppling over something. So it is such a silly thing. So you need to look at minor things. In fact, whenever I go around the campus or even look at the corridors, I always warn people that the other day, Manoj, I was telling that you have been keeping a fire, cylinder on the wall. So I felt when you walk in the corridor, when somebody is coming in the opposite direction, I may hit that cylinder. So a protective device which I installed there can become a danger for somebody who is likely to walk there. And to that extent, you need to look at. In fact, I used to tell that curtains which are put on your wall, if there is a switch box where you can connect something, how close the cloth is to a switchboard, that if an arcing occurs, can it really catch fire? To that extent, you need to look at in the layout of the buildings, in providing elements across your facilities, instrumentation, wiring, everywhere. So this eye for detail is something that is needed to ensure that your safety is assured. So in the rocket, today we are looking at human space flight. We have moved away from that ASLV time to PSLV, GSLV. GSLV Mark III has gone successfully. Now we are looking at human rating rockets. So human beings are going to sit on our rockets and then fly safely to the outer space and come back in the craft one day. I think this is our goal. Towards that, we have coined a new term. The term is designed for safety. So the launch vehicle which we are now designing are not designed for performance. It is designed to make it safe for human beings to fly. So what are the elements of making the rocket also safe? Like what we do all the ground installations, infrastructure to be very, very safe. Same way we have to make the rocket also safe. And we are also looking at safety critical design. So even electronic systems we are looking at from the safety criticality point of view, and we address how the designs can be made sure that an anomaly at some point of time happening in the vehicle doesn't become safety critical, that it endangers the person who is actually flying it. So this is true in case of aircrafts, which has much more rigor in addressing these type of anomalies and then causing dangers to the passengers. In rocket, it may be less rigorous than an aircraft, because those who are flying in rockets are trained people, trained enough to handle risks and dangers, whereas a normal person traveling an aircraft are not really trained enough to handle hazard or hazardous situation there. So even then, our rockets are to be made extremely safer for astronauts to fly. So we are looking at the rocket from that point of view. That is how to make the rocket very, very safe for astronauts to fly. So there is also safety critical assessment which are now needed. So we have been trained now. I think a lot of training sessions are being held to the engineers on addressing how to look at each and element of the rocket from that view of, and a point of view of safety criticality. It applies not alone to the hardwares which you see, it applies to even software. Other day only I was learning that how to look at software from the point of view of safety. I never thought that safety can get into even softwares that we write. How softwares can turn out to be that it becomes one of the creator of accidents. It is possible that if it doesn't happen the way we have programmed the algorithms in such way that it can really create havoc in the whole of the system, we trigger software in such a way that it actually doesn't create anomalous situations. Or if at all there is a danger or a deviation occurs, how the software can stop the propagation of the anomaly and then make the whole system safer. So this is also another area of domain of importance that we need to address today, safety critical aspects of software, which is also coming to our midst, and we are addressing it and learning it and how to implement this for the human spaceflight program. So with the increased activities that is happening in ISRO and new actors coming into our midst in terms of building rockets, and startups are coming. In fact, Jayaprakash was telling that we have looked at cleared a safety clearance for one of the facility we have now created for a startup to test their engine. So they are going to come here, they are going to test their engines in ISRO. We have to look at it from much more carefully, because we have been having an established system for designing the engine, bringing it up to test and then testing it. Now somebody else is coming from outside, they bring their engines and they will be assembling it. It poses a threat to the people who are working here, also to the facilities. We need to create established systems by which we can audit how a third party is designing an engine, and what type of material selection, design processes, system level validations have been done before it is brought to the assembly level testing. I think we need to look at it, and CSE may be empowered in the coming days to even audit such activities of external customers while they come here to do testing. And when we really launch those rockets from Sriharikota, also we have to have different domains of expertise required to audit a third party launch vehicle, because it wouldn't have gone through the rigors of whatever we have established in this organization. So these are new challenges which is waiting for us. So today, let me not prolong much on my talk, because we are all eagerly waiting to listen to the theme talk today, going to be given by Dr. Kaushigan on the disaster and disaster risk reduction. Of course, disaster is something beyond accident, as all of you know, because all the professionals in this domain do realize how a simple accident can turn out to be, or an event can turn out to be a real disaster. And our roles in safety is both in preventing disasters happening or accidents happening, and also minimizing the effect of those disasters in our life and work. So both are important to address, like what we address, how to minimize events occurring in launch vehicles and how to minimize propagation of events leading to catastrophes. So both are important. I think we will listen to Kaushigan on this particular topic, but more related to our social life and everyday life. Most probably it is not related to rockets, So, but doesn't matter. We are all finally human beings, social beings, living in this society, driving every day through the roads. Right? Living along with our friends and colleagues outside ISRO also. So let our safety discussions not be limited to within the walls of ISRO, but it has to encompass everybody, including our society all around us. So it's important to understand the role that has to be played by each one of us in disaster management, and be part of our effort of the government and the state to be along with them. I know most of you have contributed in a big way whenever the state faced such challenges and disasters in the last years, especially in the form of floods and other natural calamities. Our friends and colleagues came forward to support all of them. Along with the preparedness to handle such things, this humanitarian approach also need to be developed while we look at accidents and disasters. So with this, let me conclude and let me declare this program of National Safety Day celebrations in VSSC, its Golden Jubilee celebrations inaugurated, and wish you all the best, and let this event be useful in propagating the awareness about safety and to make everybody part of this movement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for the extremely inspiring inaugural address. It is time for all of us to undertake the safety pledge. I request one and all to kindly rise and put your right hand forward with palm folded inside to undertake the safety pledge. May I request Shri S. Somanath, Director VSSC, to kindly administer the safety pledge in English.
Safety and Health Pledge. On this day, I solemnly affirm that I will rededicate myself to the cause of safety, health, and protection of environment, and will do my best to observe rules, regulations, and procedures, and develop attitudes and habits conducive for achieving these objectives. I fully realize that accidents and diseases are a drain on the national economy and may lead to disembowelments, deaths, harm to health, and damage to property, social suffering, and general degradation of environment. I will do everything possible for the prevention of accidents and occupational diseases and protection of environment in the interest of self, family, community, organization, and the nation at large. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. An exhibition of safety equipment and devices has been a hallmark of our Safety Week celebrations in VSSC. It was an opportunity to gain first-hand knowledge on the latest devices and appliances. However, considering the present situation and to ensure safety of our employees, we are conducting this year's exhibition as an online event. All the vendors are displaying their products in the virtual mode. May I request Dr. Sam Dealadev D, Director, ISRO Inertial Systems Unit, to kindly inaugurate the maiden online Safety Day exhibition and thereafter to offer his felicitations.
Respected Director VSSC, Shri S. Somanath, Dr. A. Kausigan, IAS, Commissioner, Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, M. Rai Cherian, Associate Director VSSC, Dr. Sharat Chandra Sharma, Associate Director R&D VSSC, Dr. Biju Jacob, Chief Controller VSSC, Shri Jayaprakash J, Deputy Director SPRE and Chairman of Central Safety Committee, Shri Isaac Daniel, GD CSMG, and members of MC VSSC and IASU, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. I am extremely happy to participate in this Safety Day celebration, and at the outset, let me congratulate Shri Jayaprakash and Shri Isaac Daniel for conceiving this theme of today's function, as well as these arrangements, grand arrangements for this event. I am extremely glad that VSSC and IASU are jointly organizing this celebrations. In fact, every celebration should be a learning process. So that is why we really celebrate these events every year with different themes. So on the year of that 50 years of our as a golden jubilee year, see, formation of National Safety Council of India, let me just touch upon the theme of the year, that is learn from disaster and prepare for a safer future. See, this theme looks very relevant for the current environmental or the disasters what we see every day in life, like flooding or now even the glacier burst. Like that, cloud burst and all has become a thing of past, and we are seeing newer and newer elements. As we look at, we say in all our safety write-ups, you will find accidents never occur, they are caused. And we assume that disaster occur. But what now it amounts to nowadays, what you see even in the nature, this like the accidents are caused by some lacuna in the system, the disasters are also being caused by our own activity or the selfish activities of the human being is really cause for all this disaster. So disaster also is being caused. So definitely when you are causing something to happen, definitely we can learn or we know, we can figure out what exactly is the reason, and here this is the warning, whatever we are trying to, even though before applying to our own safety norms, to the people in large for this Mother Earth, how to protect this Mother Earth. I think this is the part which, anyhow, I will not dwell much more because our guest speaker, he will be more appropriate and more informed on this topic. So that is only ringing a bell of warning on this aspect. So now, moving on to our day-to-day safety aspect, you see, actually we are with respect to propulsion and other things, we are playing with fire. But in these areas, at least in VSSC, in this campus or other campuses in Trivandrum, we have not come across major disasters, because when you define a disaster, there is a stoppage for a short or longer time where our regular activity cannot be taken forward, then it is actually a disaster in the as a definition. Whether it's not just loss of life or disabilities that cause, but anything it upsets the rhythm or the way you work, it's a disaster. So now then I wonder what the theme of this year, do you really wait for the disaster to happen to learn, or we should what we should do to prevent such disasters happening? So therefore, if you look at every what you call accidents or that happen, which results in a disaster in the true sense, they are really caused. They are not really caused for the first time. Certain things we would have seen, observed, analyzed and recorded, and very specifically recommendation also goes into it. But the system is such that, see, we are people all will be leaving, but the system should stay. So now if you look at the history of VSSC or ISRO, the amount of information that is available with us is enormous. So from that level of information that is available, if it is fully applied, there should be zero incidents. That means that is our aim, of course, to have the zero incidents. Even last year when the reduced activity, we had few fire accidents, including one at IASU campus. And you look at those things, some of the very common thing is electrical, some spark, some loose pin doing, and it may be doing for a long time. and then it results into a crisis. So I know there's personally there had been lot of this, our tube lights when they flicker, we always look at flicker, okay, it's flickering, now it is time to change. But what happens is when these are allowed to flicker overnight, sometimes it gets overheated, and then that cascading effects create really a fire accident. So these are all there. But only the thing is, when one problem the pin may be loose, and another one the wire there is a multiple boards are used, or etc. can be used. But the same thing many places we try to relearn. So what is the way out? A human, no, there's such a huge database what is available. I think I really would like to suggest, because you have become online in safety clearances. So safety clearances, it is computerized in a way, but the intelligence whatever is that is being used is our individual's intelligence or knowledge base or our capability, our intuition. But if this database is also automated, that data analytics, if you are able to bring in a little more intelligence, if you are able to bring into the database that is available, I would suggest to our safety personnel or safety committee also to look into, because huge data what we have in terms of real fire with explosives, fire with electrical, or even so many other types of non-fire incidents also. Even we do a lot of auditing, and definitely this auditing we will find that there is a non-compliance. But this certain occasions, same non-compliance, suppose somebody tripping and falling, it may be due to some wire across a lab, etc. So these are all common things, but we should have a system where when you are auditing itself, when you input the data itself, it should be able to come out with possible results of accidents that will happen or disasters which are waiting to happen. I think this is very, very important, because our complexity of management become more and more critical, as well as so pandemic situations and all, human presence cannot be there all the time at all the places. So these are some of the elements now where you need to have an intelligent automation. So because just an automation doesn't really help, an intelligent automation should really help us. So because the system is so complex, so whether only such a system can really make a very intelligent way of predicting a disaster, so that we already, whatever disasters have happened, we learn and we see that such future disasters do not happen. So therefore, the theme is very, very interesting. That is, so much of disasters whatever had been happened, because the main disaster when I define is there is any discontinuity of the normal activity is a disaster. So therefore, in order to have this total safety and zero accident rate, we really need to have a system in place which should be able to prompt us to tell us what sort of action we need to do. And finally, practicing safety is not limited to industry alone, but also in all spheres of activity at home as well as in public places. So those who we are supposed to have been little more aware of the safety norms or safety precautions. When we move along the society also, certain things to be pointed out, we should really point out. In this context, we need to bring the concept of culture of safety, which is nothing but practicing safety in all walks of life. In order to have due weightage for safety, I think we have to fix responsibilities in the unlikely event of an accident. The concept of fixing responsibility was in vogue well before the dawn of Christian era. That is, even in BC, the Mosaic law holds the owner of a domestic animal responsible for injury caused by the animal to the third party. So, to that extent, olden days onwards, we are able to fix the responsibility and act. So now, post-fixing is of no use. That's what I said. We need to really think about how to avoid fixed responsibility for not fixing it. That sort of a thing we should adopt, so that I firmly hope that many new ideas and thought process will evolve during this Safety Week celebrations and the professional meet. I fervently wish that the safety celebrations are a grand success, and I once again congratulate the organizers and wish you all the very success. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Shri Roy M. Cherian, Associate Director, VSSC, to kindly offer his felicitations.
Most respected Sri S. Somnath, Director, VSSC, Dr. Sam Dayal Dev, Director, IASU, Dr. Kausigan, Commissioner, Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, Dr. Sharat Chandra Sharma, Associate Director, Dr. Biju Jacob, Chief Controller, Sri Jay Prakash, DDSPRE, Sri Isaac Daniel, Sri Manoj, Sri Prasanna Kumar, and my dear friends, a very good morning to all of you. So at the outset, let me thank you, all the organizers and the Center Safety Committee, for giving me this opportunity to be with you when you are celebrating the Safety Day and Safety Week 2021. So we have just taken a safety pledge just now. And so in that process, we have renewed our commitment to be safe in our workplace. And as a center, we are taking a lot of steps, a lot of time is spent and energy is spent on keeping our center a safe place. And the director has already spoken elaborately manner about that. But then that is from the center and the management. But is that all? So, but then each one of us has a responsibility to maintain the safety of the center. And so not only for ourselves, it is also for the colleagues who are working with you, your friends. So achieving this higher level of safety is a very complex goal, but there is no other way. It is essential for us. So we need to think about how do we go about doing all these things. And if you look at it personally, is it really possible to have an accident-free workplace? Because we are talking about human beings, and human beings tend to make mistakes. So, and when in a workplace like ours, like we told, we are playing with fire, and then we handle a lot of chemicals. And then each critical moment, a simple mistake can cost lives of not only our life, maybe life of, if not ours, many others also. So each day, each moment when we do things in a critical area, we need to be careful what we are doing. We need to be, there is no place for complacency. And what happens is, that is a fact that, when we have been doing these jobs for a long time, decades together we have been doing. So we assume that we know everything about it. And that is where the complacency sets in. And now one thing we are seeing, even younger persons who are working, we are worried about so many other things than the job we are doing also. So that is distracting many times people. So when we are in that kind of way of working, we tend to have issues. So that is where this annual Safety Day celebrations, start playing a role. This is, first and important thing is to remind us about what we are doing, the need to do these things in a very safe manner, and then focus on the safety aspects of it. So we do this every year. So that this celebration possibly ensures that the safety and health are integrated into your work culture and lifestyle. That is essential. And it also helps us renew we may think this one pledge we took, what is it so repetitive about it? But then it creates an awareness, and it helps us to renew our commitment to all these things. And it also a major thing is, it achieves to enable a greater participation. And so that is where the activities which are associated, I don't know, this year we are having difficulty due to this pandemic in this association part, but then we need to make sure that it happens effectively so that every employee becomes a part of this activity. So that is where your exhibitions, competitions, lectures, awareness programs all play an important role. So that is where we need to focus now. So make sure that everybody finds a place in the whole activity and starts to realize its importance in his role in this, and start working in a safe manner. And so there could be certain things, we could teach them responsibility. They could be encouraged to do a job safety analysis for themselves, whether they are working in a safe zone or what else could be done to improve their work area, and they could be asked to identify potential hazards of their workplace. And workplace ergonomics also, they could be asked to look at that. And one important thing is, they should be able to be proud that they are working in a safe place and they have a role to play in it. So with these few words, let me take this opportunity to wish you all the very best on the Safety Day 2021 and wish you all the very best in all the activities you have planned in this week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now may I invite Dr. Sharat Chandra Sharma, Associate Director R&D VSSE, to kindly offer his felicitations.
The most respected Director VSSE, Shri Somnath, Director ISU, Dr. Sam Syal Dev, our distinguished guest today, Dr. A. Kausigan, Commissioner, Kerala State Disaster Management Authority and Joint Commissioner, Land Revenue, Government of Kerala, Associate Director VSSE, Shri Roy M. Cherian, Chief Controller VSSE, Dr. Biju Jacob, Shri Jayaprakash, Chairman of Center Safety Committee, Shri Daniel, Dr. Binny K. George, Shri Prasanna Kumar, VCMC members, and all my colleagues. In fact, safety plays a very, very important role as far as efficiency or output or productivity of an organization is concerned. In fact, this is, I should say, the most potent invisible force as far as achievements, all the achievements of organization is concerned. So in that respect, our safety team is playing really fantastic role. And if you say the challenges before our safety team and the organization, just imagine that the branches of engineering we are dealing in our center here. You name any branch, probably we are having here electronic communication, electrical, materials, chemicals, polymers, all we are dealing here. And we also have activities going on R&D level. That is R&D labs we have here and regular production activities. So it's a diversified nature of challenges for our safety team, and they are carrying out very efficiently all these challenges they are meeting. And if you see our recent lockdown period, I should remember the role our safety team has played that time. In fact, when the lockdown started, they were preparing for our standing operating procedures for how to close the labs and facilities. And when we were partially opening, they were preparing SOP for how to open, how to start operating these machines. And when we were working from home, our fire service team, they were working all around in the office here, taking care of safety of the organization, of the center here. So in fact, this theme of this year's Safety Day is very apt. That is, learn from disaster and prepare for future. As we are abusing more and more our mother safety, we have to really be prepared more and more for the safety. And particularly, this is the occasion where we also have to think about what future actions we can take, particularly day-to-day activities in the center. So I have just got some points. Probably I will share my young safety engineers who are sitting here. They can debate these points and move forward. So the first thing is that now we talk about this sort of training. Training very, very important in the all safety, our operations and practices. So virtual tools basically for safety. We have now softwares available there, virtual reality softwares available for the training. So what reports say, actually they are 80% more effective compared to our traditional tools, like our PowerPoint presentation. Suppose you create a fire accident by virtual reality means, the employees will remember much more compared to what we have with traditional tools. So that is one area probably you can think of. And the second thing is about the behavioral aspects of employees. There is a famous study, probably our safety scientists must be remembering. Famous safety scientist J.E. Bird, he studied almost 1.7 million accidents. And what he found, that 5% accidents take place because of our external factors, and 95% accidents take place because of employees at the workplace. So probably when we are imparting training to the employees there, we also evolve some modules about the behavioral aspects of these employees when they reach the workplace, what type of approach they should have to the tools there. So all these things also will help particularly in creating a safe environment in the center there. And then our intelligent, just like our Director ISU was telling about our intelligent tools basically to adopt. So here artificial intelligence, how can we introduce in our safety? Particularly, we can have some sort of our machines when our employees or they are operating in the workshop, and they are not wearing PPE, for example. So we should have artificial intelligence in the machine. They can send the alert to the employee that time, or even to the supervisor who is there, and they can be better prepared. Similarly, our PPEs, whether they can be smart PPEs, can be there. Actually, now these sort of PPEs, what I understand, literature, they are available there, so that when employee is standing long time on the shop floor, he should not feel the fatigue. That is one aspect is there. And similarly, as we are going more and more digital in our approaches, we have to think about the workstations, because now scientists have to spend more and more time sitting in front of computers there. So how we can have flexible workstations and safe workstations? Probably we can have audit in our center also here. Our workstations already available here, whether they are safe, like our cords or wires, how they are connected. So tripping down, just now one example was coming there. So all those things can be thought of about this safety, implementing safety in the center there. And of course, updating the specifications of PPEs. Probably we have here our safety professionals. So periodically we can update the specification of PPEs. We can keep pace with the trends emerging in this area here. So I thought I will share these few points with the particularly young engineers in the safety area here. And I thank organizers for giving me this opportunity to express my views on this occasion. And also I compliment the safety team for planning these activities such a like very effective manner, all the activities. And I wish them all the best for all their future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Biju Jacob, Chief Controller, VSSE, to kindly offer his felicitations.
Honorable Guest of Honor, Dr. Kausigan, Honorable VSSE Director, Dr. Somnath sir, Honorable IASU Director, Sri Shamdayal sir, Honorable Associate Director, Sri Roy M. Cherian, and Sri Sharmaji, the Organizing Committee Chairman, Sri Jayaprakash, Deputy Director, SPRD, and all my friends and colleagues. First of all, let me appreciate the team headed by Dr. Jayaprakash and others for organizing this safety week, even in the midst of this COVID protocol. And I think we have ensured that sufficient social distancing is also here. We have heard from all our technical experts on the various aspects of the safety. And being a non-technical person in this area, let me look safety from a non-technical perspective. So let me ask you a question which is related to this year's team. Are we learning from disaster? The theme is learn from disaster. I'm raising a question on that. Are we learning from disaster? Or why don't we learn from disaster? Or why, despite all those things, disasters happen? Let me share an incident with you. The day was 1972, December 29, Friday. An American Airlines, Eastern Airlines flight 401 was flying from New York to Miami. It was almost nearing midnight. It was a normal flight with 176 passengers, and the flight was just going to land in the Miami airport. The captain was a very well-experienced pilot, Robert Albin Loft, and his two assistants were also equally capable. So they alerted the air traffic control, and the air traffic control gave them the signal to land. And being people connected with the flight and other things, the first step is they switched on the landing gear. Unfortunately, the green light of the landing gear didn't light up. So they tried, they thought there was some problem. So they alerted the air traffic control and obtained a permission to circle around the airport for some time so that they can rectify the mistake. So they changed into autopilot mode, and all the three people, the pilot and his two assistants, went on looking into the landing gear problem. But unfortunately, while they were checking this landing gear problem, the flight got automatically disconnected from the autopilot and it was descending at very high speeds. And by the time the pilot noticed this fall, it was too late and the flight crashed. 101 people out of the 176 died on the spot. And as we know, when a flight disaster happens, there is going to be a detailed inquiry. And during the detailed inquiry, they found something very interesting. The problem with the landing gear was, there was no problem at all with the landing gear. It was only a case of the bulb had burned out. The green bulb, because at that time it was 1972, we didn't have any of these sophisticated bulbs. It was just that bulb had burned out. And this issue they have thought as a major problem, so the light didn't light up. So this problem they had thought up as a major issue in the landing gear. And they all went on looking into this issue. While looking into this perceived problem or what they thought the problem, they forgot the most important thing, what is expected. There were 3 people. At least one of them could have controlled the flight. So, while focusing on an unimportant aspect, thinking that it was very important, they forgot the crucial. There is a saying which says, we do not stumble over mountains, but we stumble over a stone. മലയിൽ തട്ടി ആരും വീഴാറില്ല, വീഴുന്നത് ചെറിയ കല്ലിൽ തട്ടിയ. Because we take sufficient precautions to overcome the mountainous problems. In the same way, we take sufficient precautions on the technical aspect. But if you look at any disaster, rather than the technical failure, it is the human failure. Before joining this assignment here, one of my expertise was looking to the IT security, IT audit and data analysis and all those things. So in that also the number one theme which they say is, it is not the technology that fails, it is the human beings that fail. Anyway, I have forgotten all those things because I am not doing any data analysis now. So let me conclude because let me raise a few questions to you in this way. So let us not forget that, because we all stumble not because of the mountains, because of the stones, and it is the human aspect that is more important. And this disaster of the flight 401 raises a few questions which came to my mind while I was traveling, while I was thinking about this while traveling from my home. Number one, every year we have been celebrating this safety issue. It is very easy to celebrate any function. But in the pledge, one of the most important things which was stressed to us, we will follow rules, regulations and other things. That is also to a certain extent possible. But develop the right attitudes. It is an internal issue. Following rules and regulations is something external. But following the right attitudes becomes the most important thing. And second thing, and because of the technological progress and other thing, this aspect, ignoring the important aspect, is an issue not only in safety, but in all aspects also. Because technology can bring about lot of changes. Medicine can even, I think we are reaching a stage in which people say the brain can also be transplanted. And we are thinking in the area of space about traveling to other planets and conquering and establishing our, colonies there. But it is good to have colonies in other places. But don't you think it is equally important to learn to live peacefully here? Or are we going to colonize other places and there also we are going to start our struggles, Cold War and other fights? So this happens in each and every aspect of the life. So, let me conclude by saying that this celebration, it's very easy to organize a celebration, but it should bring us a change in attitude, knowing that it is the small, small things, the minor things that cause a disaster. And number two, it also should, this incident of that flight 401 also should help us to focusing on the important aspect of life. Rather, each and every aspect of life is important. Thank you. Let me thank all the organizers once again for inviting me. Thank you very much.
It is now time for announcing the prize winners of the various competitions held as part of VSSC National Safety Day 2021. May I kindly request Sri Shivasubramani S., Deputy Director, Management and Information Systems Area, ISRO Inertial Systems Unit, and Chairman, Competition Committee, to kindly announce the prize winners.
Good morning all. National Safety Week competitions are conducted every year to percolate the message of safety among employees. These programs are conducted with a larger intention of motivating, educating, and aimed at sustaining safety culture in the organization. This year, the Competition Committee of NSW 2021 has conducted 3 programs. They are TUSCO, that is Test Your Knowledge Online, Safety Photography Competition, and entity level Safety Quiz Competition. TUSCO and Safety Photography competitions were conducted online through the intranet web interface designed and developed by the Computer and Information Technology Group. Entity Safety Quiz was a one-on-one quiz program which was conducted adhering to all existing COVID-19 protocols. The online competitions and registration began on 9th February 2021 and they were open to all regular employees up to 12th February 2021. For the Entity Safety Quiz, the committee received 15 nominations from various entities for the preliminary round. The quiz was conducted in 2 rounds, a preliminary written round and a one-on-one main round. Sri Danesh S. of IASU was the quiz master. The team behind the quiz were from IASU, comprising of Srimati Ashwati R. Krishnan, Sri Abhilash M. and Sri Danesh S. I am glad to announce that the team from SPL, comprising of Dr. Mridula N. and Sri Jayadev Pradeep, came in the first position. Team from accounts, comprising of Sri Akash VP and Sri Sethu Ravindran, came in the second position. And the team SPRE, comprising of Sri Vinay Paliwal and Sri Vishnu MC, came in the third position. Safety photography competition was open from 9th February 2021 and ended on 12th February 2021. The committee received registration from 52 employees. I am very glad to announce the winners. The first prize goes to Sri Shiljit K of MME. The second prize goes to Sri Suresh Kumar A of PCM entity, and the third prize goes to Dr. Ramakrishna Sukamanji of PCM entity. For the TUSCO, registration was open on 9th February 2021 and closed on 12th February 2021. TUSCO was made available to all the employees through Ashoka web portal. A total of 732 employees have attempted the TUSCO quiz. I am very glad to announce the winners. The first prize goes to Srimati Salu Jacob of PCM entity. The second prize goes to Sri Naresh Kumar Singh of SPRE. Hearty congratulations to all prize winners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is now time for the much awaited Safety Day talk on the topic Disaster Risk Reduction. May I now request Sri Isaac Daniel, Group Director, Center Safety Management Group, to introduce the chief guest of the day.
Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and my dear friends who are watching this program online. Let me go to my duty directly. Dr. A. Kausigan, a native of Hosur in Tamil Nadu, is an IAS officer of the 2010 batch. It is quite interesting about his education background. He is a postgraduate in veterinary science with animal nutrition as the specialization, and he also taken another post-graduation, that is MA in public policy. Before joining civil services, Dr. A. Kausigan served I served as the assistant surgeon in Animal Husbandry Department of Tamil Nadu government and also an assistant professor at the Tanuvas, Chennai. In civil service, again, he was selected for IAFS and IAS simultaneously, but he opted for the latter, IAS. He was the sub-collector of Ottapalam for 2 years and the district collector of Thrissur, Kollam, Thiruvananthapuram and Idukki. Thereafter, he was the managing director of Kerala Water Authority, Director Jalanidhi and Secretary of Land Revenue. Currently, he is the Commissioner of Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, KSDMA, and Joint Commissioner, Land Revenue, Government of Kerala. Without taking any much time, I request our chief guest, Dr. A. Kausigan, to deliver his lecture. Thank you.
A very good morning to everyone. At the outset, let me thank VSSC and the chairman CSC, Shri Jaiprakash ji, for giving me this opportunity to be part of this celebration. And this is a prestigious institution. Our countrymen are really proud of ISRO and its sister institutions. I consider it a privilege to be part of this particular celebration in the company of officials of the VSSC. Shri Somnath ji, Director VSSC, Dr. Sam Dayaladev, Shri Roy M. Cherian, Dr. Sharat Chandra Sharma ji, Dr. Biju Jacob, Dr. Jaiprakash ji, Shri Prasanna Kumar, Shri Isaac Daniel, Shri Manoj R, and all the participants and staff of VSSC and other sister institutions who are here today. It's a real pleasure, as I said in my opening remarks, to be here with you all. Disaster risk reduction is the topic on which I have been requested to deliver on. And as was repeated here for quite a number of times, learning from disasters and preparing for a safer future is what we're all looking at during this safety week. As our director had pointed out, I'm not going to dwell on issues related to industrial safety. I'm going to give you a different perspective, a larger perspective as to what's happening in the country and what's happening in the state of Kerala as far as disaster management is concerned and as far as disaster risk reduction is happening. Are we learning from our disasters and are we changing course? Are we doing things better so that we'll be able to create resilient communities? That is the question before us. And I would say emphatically that yes, we are learning from disasters and we have come a long way. Experience is a comb given to us when we are bald. Kindly think it over. Experience is a comb given to us when we are bald. So that would mean that learning from experience makes a lot of sense. Learning from experience makes a lot of sense, and maybe we may get a comb while we also have some hair, right? I think all of you would agree. In the internet, it says this is a Belgian proverb. There are also some internet references saying this has to be a Chinese proverb. and some also attribute this to Navjot Singh Sidhu. I don't know, what is right, but this is a good idea that probably we should take up as we talk about safety. Disasters are disasters. Of course, there are hazards all over, and then they turn into disasters when we are negligent or when things are beyond our control. So disasters are disasters because they are one step ahead. Before we can take corrective action, something has befallen us. And we have a disaster in front of us where we run around responding and trying to recover. So, can we learn from our experiences, learn from disasters and be that one step ahead? That is what I think we should be doing. Hazards, as you all know, we have different categories. This is basic, school stuff, high school stuff probably. Geophysical disasters, hydrological, we have climatological, we have meteorological, we have biological, we also have extraterrestrial. Probably someday ISRO would probably send some missile and then get some asteroid off course so that we save the earth, probably sometime in the future. It's a possibility. We never know what is lurking out in this large extraterrestrial space. We also have man-made hazards. There can be chemical, nuclear, biological. I just wanted to touch upon this just to see that it is complete. Yeah, this is basically high school stuff. I'm not dwelling more on this. Friends, this is complexity. I just came across this on this Sunday, the Hindu. It says, global warming and climate change are happening, and that it is possible that the SARS COVID virus 2 could have emerged from some bat population which has migrated from the forests. It says the study found that 40 new species of bats have moved to the Yunnan province in the last century. So probably have these bats actually brought some deadly viruses into human habitations? We don't know. So we are looking at disasters from various angles. Now we have a complex thing that is coming up. So always we'll have to keep our eyes and ears open when it comes to disaster mitigation. There might be a lot of complexity involved in those small things that we are looking at. Sometimes disasters can be extremely serious events. It can be a handshake between a natural disaster as well as probably a human man-made thing. You would have heard about the triple disaster which struck Japan, East Japan. We had a 9.0 Richter scale earthquake that triggered a tsunami, and the tsunami affected the nuclear plant. And then here you see a handshake between a natural disaster and a human element. So such can be the scale of course, Japan mounted a great response, but still the nuclear meltdown was a issue that kept making headlines and then tarnishing the image of the Japanese government. So disasters can get to these proportions as well, diabolical dimensions, I would say. This apart, are there some biological concerns as well? There are microplastics getting into the food chain. A lot of it is polluting the oceans and seas. There is phosphorus and nitrogen runoff in excessive quantities into water bodies. Is there a ticking time bomb? Are we consuming too much trans fatty acids, and is our health and nutrition being affected? Health and nutrition will lead to damaging effects on immunity.
Maybe there may be some epigenetic influences affecting the way genes, come out with their expression. So many things which are undercover. Probably we need to keep our eyes and ears wide open to absorb all these and then mount a response. We can have biofilms, we have antimicrobial resistance. Kerala as such has a huge and non-communicable disease burden. And in COVID, 95% of the deaths are people associated with COVID, with comorbidities, basically hypertension, diabetes and the like. And there can be agents of bioterrorism. There's a huge gamut of things that are actually, waiting to pounce upon the human community. So we need to be very vigilant. These are recent disasters in India. I have not added the most recent one, the glacial burst. I have nothing much to explain. The figures are already over here, published. These item number 7 and 8, they were actually alarm bells for the government of India. 1999, we had the Orissa super cyclone. Over 10,000 deaths is what is estimated. Earthquake in Bhuj 2001, again a serious disaster. We have a whole lot of, this is just, presented on a map. Disasters have been striking. Either Namal Bhishmachari, Bhishmacharya getting arrows, okay, in the Kurukshetra war. So that is how India is now here. You see, arrows coming from various points. The whole of the country is actually disaster prone. We need to mount a very, able response to survive. We have learned from disasters and then we have started evolving our disaster management response in India. After these two events of 1999, the Orissa super cyclone and the Bhuj earthquake of 2001, the Orissa government had come up with the Orissa State Disaster Management Authority, and the Gujarat state came up with the Gujarat State Disaster Management Authority. They were the first of their kind in the country. And taking cue from that, the national government then came up with the Disaster Management Act in 2005 and laid a legal framework. Imagine, so many years after independence, we have never, we did not have to think of an act for disaster management. It was being taken care of by the government as a, response to a disaster, but not at a very, at a scale where there can be enough legal backing and all. So the act came in 2005. With that came the National Disaster Management Authority, the National Disaster Response Force, the SDMA, the DDMA, and of course even the local bodies have DM plans now. So learning from experience, we have actually improved our position quite a lot. We have moved as part of this learning from a response-centric to a holistic and integrated approach. We have an institutional framework, we have legal authority now under the DM Act. We have financial mechanisms and we have the SDRF and the NDRF, the National Disaster Response Fund, and also the SDRF, the State Disaster Response Fund. So now we are in a much better position to handle disasters, but that's still a long way to go. This is a mechanism at the state level. We have a state and the National Disaster Management Authority, which is headed by the Prime Minister as the chairperson. At the state level, the SDMA is headed by the Chief Minister. At the district level, the district collector heads the District Disaster Management Authority. And we have State Emergency Operations Center at the state level. We have district and taluk units as well. We call it the DEOC and the TEOC, the Taluk Emergency Operations Center and the District Emergency Operations Center. This is all part of the learning that we have gathered over a period of time facing various disasters. The DM Act calls disaster as a catastrophe, mishap, calamity or grave occurrence affecting any area from natural and man-made causes or by accident or negligence which results in substantial loss of life or human suffering or damage to and destruction of property or damage to or degradation of the environment and is of such a nature and magnitude to be beyond the capacity of the community of the affected area. There is an accident, road accident. We don't call it a disaster because the community can cope up with it. A few friends can pick up the fellow, take him to the nearest hospital, provide him first aid, and then, bring him alive. But these disasters occur in a scale and magnitude that the community is probably not able to respond to. A Petimudi disaster, Petimudi landslide, people could reach only the next morning. So the community was left to fend for itself. We lost lives. There are a list of approved disasters from the national, for which the National Disaster Response Fund can spend money on. Also, we have state-specific disasters: lightning, soil piping, coastal erosion, strong winds and heat waves, sunstroke, etc. have been arrayed as state-specific disasters. These are interventions from the state side because coastal erosion is a major problem, sunstroke is a problem, sunburns are a problem for the state. So they have been represented to the Government of India and then they have recognized these as state-specific disasters. These vary from state to state. There are various levels of disasters. Level 1 would be something that can be managed at the district level. Level 2 needs some mobilization from the state level. Level 3 needs mobilization of resources at the national level. And what do we all mean by disaster management? It is basically preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation. Preparedness, activities prior to disaster; response, activities during the disaster; recovery is activities following a disaster; and mitigation is when we try to reduce the effects of disaster. This is a regular DM cycle, disaster management cycle. There is preparedness, there is an event, there is a relief being provided, there is rehabilitation being provided, then there is reconstruction, and then mitigation. For example, take the Petimudi disaster, Petimudi landslide. There was a disaster event, there is relief provided, immediate relief, rescue, and then there is rehabilitation. Yesterday, the district collector had handed over keys to all the survivors. New houses were constructed. That is part of rehabilitation. Reconstruction, their lives will be taken care of. Basically, children who are orphaned will be taken care of. Their education will be sponsored. And mitigation. And further preparedness. Can we establish a landslide early warning system in such remote locations, which will capture the soil moisture saturation and then give us alerts that there is an impending disaster? If that can be done, that would be part of preparedness. So there is a DM cycle which keeps going on, and we need to improve every time we get into that cycle. Kerala as such is a very hazard prone state. Look at the position. Our population density is about 2,000 plus people along the coast, and say the state average is about 800 plus. In the coastal areas, we have much less, like sometimes in places like Idukki, maybe 200 persons per square kilometer. But the coastal area is quite prone. We have about 2,000 persons per square kilometer. 14% of the state is flood prone. 14% of the state is landslide prone. We have 55% of the coastline prone to coastal hazards. We are in zone 3 of the seismic zonation. There are lightning issues. We have our vulnerable population. We have the non-communicable disease burden as well as a high population of elderly. All these put together, we are a hazard prone state. That is what I wish to, drive as a point. And also 45% of the LPG used in the state is transported through bullet tankers, and these tankers often topple. And of course, there is a standard SOP now, which is being, where we take care of. But of course, with the GAIL pipeline and all, there is a lot of change going to come. A lot of material will be moved through pipelines, and then probably will take a lot of, LPG traffic away from the roads. Of course, using, inputs from space agencies, we are able to now, I mean, come up with hazard zonation maps, multi-hazard zonation maps, various, I mean, hazards that, can, hit Kerala. So that we are already with that. These are major disasters that, Kerala has seen as such. All of us, I think, would very vividly remember the Oki cyclone, where, our time for preparation was very little. We had a lot of fishermen at sea, and we did lose many of them, 59 dead and 91 missing, in spite of so much advancement. But of course, the cyclone itself was a little weird cyclone. It actually changed course suddenly. That is one. And the other thing was that, it gained strength quickly. It was a, simple depression, and then suddenly it, gained strength to become a cyclonic storm, and then the change of course. These two things put together, it battered coastal Kerala very seriously. That was in 2017. And then, of course, we all very vividly remember 2018 floods and also 19 floods. Floods that Kerala has not seen in a century. We were hit by such floods in 2018. We also had landslides in many places. So these are the disasters that Kerala has been learning lessons from such disasters. You must also be remembering about Puttingal. This is a temple in Kollam district, Paravur, where we lost quite a number of lives, 100 plus lives, in an event where public display of fireworks as part of festival celebrations were going on, and then things broke loose, and then we had a major disaster. But learning from that, we have tightened the norms for public display of fireworks. We are now insisting on authorized fireworks. We are testing for banned chemicals. Potassium chlorate is a major hazard, is a oxidizer, and then you must have used percussion caps, basically what we use as children. Whenever pressure is applied, this can give rise to an explosion. Potassium chlorate, basically. So we look for that. We insist on safety distance. We are insisting on magazines now. We are insisting on mock drills, off-site and on-site DM plans. So this is again more effective crowd control. So these are again learnings that we have learnt. And Kerala is a place where we are known for Purams. The entire Malabar area, of course, some parts of Kollam, and then from Thrissur onwards, especially Palakkad and Thrissur especially, and Palakkad, Malappuram, and all these places are known for Puram festivals, where public display of fireworks is an extravaganza which people expect to happen. And then, unless we, drive home the point of safety, we'll again keep creating more such Puttingals. And now we have tightened the stuff. It's again a learning, and we are putting it into practice. Kerala floods, apart from several learnings from Kerala floods, this volunteerism has caught up. Fishermen, they took their boats and they went all the way up to Pathanamthitta to save people, marooned people. So that was a learning, and then volunteerism has come into the domain of disaster management. Now, not SDRF or the police or the fire and rescue cannot be there at all times, and often they are overwhelmed when there are events of this magnitude. So volunteerism has become an important aspect in disaster response, and that Kerala has learned. And this is also a concept that has been picked up by the national government, and the NDMA is also focusing on volunteerism to get a cadre of volunteers so that they will come in handy at times of disaster. So that is again a learning from disasters. Of course, we had to deploy a lot of security forces, the NDRF teams, the Air Force, the Indian Army, the Engineering Task Force, the Navy, and we had the Coast Guard and several companies of the BSF all helping us to tide over the 2018 crisis. Again, now we have learned how to liaise with these agencies and then bring them together. So now it has become a cakewalk for Kerala. We are able to do it in a very short period of time. Now things have improved and we have learnt our lessons. And climate change is real. It is knocking. Plants which are growing at much lower altitude are now climbing up. We have the Cardamom Hill Reserve where cardamom yield is gradually probably coming down. So there are several issues which, and of course the coastal erosion is getting serious every year. And we are getting more drought prone. Extreme climate events are increasing in frequency. The 2018 floods, then we thought, okay, the next major floods will come in another 100 years. But we had 2018 floods. And again, 2020 also we had, reasonable floods. But of course, we could, because we have, learnt from our experience, we have, mounted a better response, and then we could see that things are much better under control. So climate change is real. There's no escaping extreme weather events. Now, urban flooding is a major problem. You would have seen, Trivandrum getting flooded, and there was an Operation Ananta at some point of time when a lot of encroachments were removed, and then the canals were deepened and all. Now, Kochi again recently got into extreme flooding. We had Chennai floods, flooding, and then twice now Chennai has been flooded. Kochi also has been flooded twice. So we are all learning that urban flooding is a major phenomenon that is catching up. These were all not issues, 10 years ago. But now these are becoming issues which are all pointers that yes, climate change is probably real. And now you have the glacial burst you never expected. The dam was, Tapovan Dam was, designed taking into consideration the 100 years, climate pattern. But suddenly you have one fine day with absolutely no time for any relief or rescue. You have a flash flood and then taking away the entire dam. Investment of so many crores. So glacial burst, which is, these are all surprises that are coming, which definitely means that climate change is real. So we need to, gear up for that. We also have Gasnados now. There are small Churlikata in small localities where trees are uprooted, plantain is lost, banana plantations are lost, houses lose their roofs and all, and then such events are also increasing in frequency. So this is also an indicator that there is climate change which is coming up as a peril, and Kerala is feeling it. And for the first time, we had to declare heat wave conditions in Kerala in 2016. Earlier we did not have. So 2016 we saw heat wave drought. 2017 we had the Oki cyclone. 2018 floods. 19 again floods. 20 again floods. We have the Petimudi disaster in 20. So series of events have been attacking Kerala time and again, which means these climate change predictions must be true. So we must gear ourselves up. There's no time to sit back and relax. Of course, with the space agencies providing us a lot of data, we are able to create our flood inundation maps. 2013, 18, we have landslide locations plotted so that we can mount a good response and see that these landslide locations are rehabilitated. Take people away from those places and then put them in safer places so that that is how disaster risk reduction can happen. We depopulate those areas, but it will take its own time. But we are thinking on those lines so that people can be saved from these landslide locations. We never know when these things will strike. We are also looking at an inclusive approach. We had the death of a physically disabled person during 2018 floods. So the government is also seriously thinking of providing a barrier-free environment as well as access to alerts for persons with disabilities. You cannot leave them behind. You need to take them along. So that thought process is also there in the government. And Kerala has come up with a model which is, regarded as one of the first such models in the country. And the national government is also trying to, take lessons from this. We have connected well with the disabled population in the state. We have a very vibrant social justice department as well. We have joined hands, and then a lot of good work is also being done on those lines. So disability inclusive DRR. Let me also point out one thing. We had a small interaction for a particular purpose in Kila. Kila is the Kerala Institute of Land Administration, Thrissur. We had a small discussion. We are trying to train our engineers on barrier-free buildings. train our PWD and LSGI engineers so that, I mean, whenever they design structures, they come up with structures which will be barrier free so that it is disabled friendly and all. So we had invited a speaker from IIT Roorkee, and he made this opening remark. It was very simple but very powerful, I would say. He said, "We are all temporarily able." That is how we started the discussion. We are all temporarily able. We will always think that, okay, we are 95% of the population. We have a disabled population of 3 to 5%. Now we are going to do great things for them. No. Anyone here can be disabled the next moment. So we are all temporarily able. That should be the approach as we get into this arena of, I mean, talking of doing things for, people with disabilities. So we are all temporarily able. Anytime anything can happen and then we may go disabled. So we are all actually working for ourselves. We are working for the majority. We are not working for the minority because we are all just temporarily able. So with that thought in mind, I mean, we are looking at disability inclusive disaster risk reduction. We are developing appropriate materials for the specially, abled, disabled friendly language and sign language related information. Our KSDMA WhatsApp group keeps propagating these through the volunteers. We have sign language, alerts, imparted in sign language. We have appropriate materials for the specially disabled. The NDMA also focuses a lot on mock drills. I mean, even director was pointing out, that the NDRF had, put in a request for some mock drill within the, VSSC campus and all. This is a, thing that is being promoted both nationally and as well as at the state level, because giving some awareness and earlier speakers were also talking about creating a culture of disaster preparedness that we definitely need to do. And for establishments, I will just summarize it. We also took a pledge today talking about rules, regulations, and developing attitudes and having SOPs, following procedures. Never compromise on SOPs. There are no known shortcuts to safety. We need to follow those SOPs. There's no way. There's extensive support that we are receiving from space. I am talking from a platform where I'm sitting with space scientists and safety engineers. I would take this opportunity to heartily thank the fraternity of space scientists and people who are in the space establishment for the wonderful support we have been getting both at the state level and at the national level. You have been giving us a lot of inputs with which we are able to actually do our DM business in a much better fashion. We are getting early warnings, risk information. You are also assisting us in impact assessment, in preparedness, in emergency communication as well. So I would say I would heartily thank this fraternity for the wonderful service they have been doing, and they are part and parcel of our DM response. Of course, there's all these maps that we are generating is because you are giving us inputs. We are utilizing this information to see that we mount a proper response so that we save people and lives. Over the years, the pattern is like this. We have been able to bring down deaths due to disasters the world over, but our economic assets we have been losing in more and more numbers. The quantum of crores of rupees that we are losing in terms of economic assets is actually increasing year after year. Though we are able to bring down our number of deaths, this is happening, and we need to address this. So we'll have to reorient our development with a disaster preparedness culture imbibed, so that we avoid areas where we'll get into disasters. So that culture we are slowly trying to bring up. This is Alua. 2018 floods. With your maps, we were actually trying to find out the 100-meter buffer area where we are to expect flooding, and then we did carry out evacuation from those areas. And so all your inputs from space are actually helping us. Thank you very much once again for that. And rainfall patterns also, now we are able to predict and forecast and give even nowcast now. Now, instead of forecast, we have got into this business of nowcast. So what will happen in the next 3 hours? So that also we are able to give with, of course, inputs from space scientists and our assets in space. So thank you very much again for all that data that is being supplied. So we are able to do a much better job now. And with all these learnings, now we are, a lot of work is under progress. Every department has been directed to prepare disaster management plans for the department. There's a lot of stress on disaster risk reduction. And we have an early warning dissemination system. The Honorable Chief Minister had inaugurated this work yesterday. It's a World Bank funded project under the National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project, where for about 80 crores we are trying to put some ICT infrastructure, early warning dissemination system, so that we can communicate alerts to people at a much faster rate, so that people can be alerted and they can find safety. So that is a system that is coming up, and yesterday the Honorable CM had inaugurated that. And location based alert system, LBAS, that is also being worked upon by the state government. We have a common alert protocol. Now all the telecom companies are also into this fold of disaster management. Now in any particular area, now the mobile connectivity in the state is quite high. I mean, everyone has a mobile, and now we can send alerts to people in a particular locality, tying up with the telecom service providers and the infrastructure providers. Say there are a set of tourists who are probably in the Goa beach, or say in the Varkala beach. Now, I mean, we don't know. The state government as such doesn't, know as to, where these people are from and what language we can communicate to them and all. You'll have, the Portuguese, you'll have people from Europe and several other places. But still you need to alert them. So this common alert protocol, which is a, globally acknowledged pattern of, standard system of alerts. So that would be put in place, and the telecom towers in that particular area will give them these messages that, or give them, warnings. And even if your mobile is in switch off mode, probably this can actually activate the mobile and then you will get an alert. So that sort of a system is actually being put in place gradually, so that, limited pockets can be, targeted. And then, because if alert dissemination is done over a larger population, you will be panicking a large population. That shouldn't happen. We need to focus to a particular area as much as possible. So that sort of a system would be coming in when common alert protocol is being brought about. I was earlier talking about the landslide early warning system. We are also looking at build back better. Now, our infrastructure is lost in floods. Now we want to do those infrastructure again in a fashion that it will be resilient. It will not be affected by the next floods. We are marking those flood levels, and we are doing those structures at a much higher level, so that the floods don't affect, and our infrastructure is also, our designing is also being modified to see that we are able to build back better. So this is a concept that has caught up, and then we are also looking at resilience, not only infrastructure, we are also looking at social and economic resilience, and insurance is also fast catching up, disaster risk financing. Insurance is basically collective risk bearing. Now all of us under risk, we pay a premium, and then when one of us, gets into trouble, the company pays. So that sort of insurance mechanism is also coming into disaster management, but it has a long way to go. But we are, when the governments are planning, both the center and the state are planning. And we also have, the civil defense, which is being strengthened. We have volunteers. We have a Samuhiya Sanadha Sena. We have where about 3 lakh volunteers. So all this happened after 2018 floods. So we have a hardcore, team of volunteers who will volunteer when there are, when a disaster strikes. So they will work alongside the regular response agencies to bring relief. And there's also inclusiveness, which I was talking a little earlier. We are all temporarily able. We need to carry each one of us along. So the journey continues like this to build resilient communities. We are definitely learning from disasters, and we are moving forward. And definitely we are moving forward towards a safer future. No doubt we are at it. But of course it is a long journey, and of course, with your support, of course, with the, I mean, you are an agency who are, I mean, the space as such, all space scientists are actually giving us a lot of inputs with which I think we'll be able to do our job much better. With these words, I'll close here. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful talk. Now I request Honorable Director VSSC to present a memento as a token of love and appreciation to the chief guest of the day. May I request Shri Manoj R., Head, Center Safety Division VSSC, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, respected dignitaries of the dais, my fellow safety professionals, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. This year's Safety Week celebrations are unique in more than one way. The COVID-19 pandemic taught us to innovate and explore new avenues which otherwise would not have been seen. The theme of this year's Safety Week, Learn from Disasters and Prepare for Safer Future, becomes meaningful by the way we have learned to overcome the challenges and preparing to protect ourselves. It is indeed my honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks for the inaugural function of the 50th National Safety Week celebration. Our director, Shri Somnath sir, is a driving force behind all the safety-related activities in our center. Sir, your valuable guidance and wisdom is always a source of inspiration to the safety fraternity. When we approached our director with the proposal for this year's Safety Week, he readily agreed and was very supportive. We are very thankful to you, sir, for having spared your valuable time for inaugurating the program and for your words of wisdom. We are indeed fortunate to have Dr. Kausigan IAS as our guest for this year's Safety Week. Nothing would have been more appropriate than having the Commissioner, Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, speak to us on disaster risk reduction, which is the essence of this year's Safety Week theme. Sir, we are extremely thankful to you for having accepted our invitation and come over to VSSC and sharing your experiences and very informative talk. Director IISU has always been supportive of all the activities of Center Safety Committee and implementation of safety practices and procedures in IISU. In spite of his busy schedule, he was kind enough to find time for attending today's function. Sir, we express our sincere gratitude for having graciously accepted our invitation and for your guidance on safety intelligent automation. Associate Director VSSC very actively participates in all the endeavors of the Center Safety Committee. His presence in today's function is testimony to his commitment for the cause of safety. Sir, we are extremely thankful to you for having spared your valuable time and for your felicitations. Associate Director R&D VSSC very keenly follows the safety activities of the center. As mentor of the safety management group, his guidance and constant encouragement was instrumental in today's function. Sir, we are thankful to you for your inspiring words and valuable directions for us. Chief Controller VSSC is a very strong proponent of safety and has been providing guidance by sharing his experiences. Sir, we are thankful to you in your absence, sir, here, and sharing your valuable experience with us and addressing the gathering with very good examples to infuse the strong message of safety. Our Chairman, Center Safety Committee, is the motivation behind all the safety-related activities in our center. His leadership and commitment to improve safety standard and awareness among our staff in our center is a great source of inspiration for all the safety professionals of VSSC. It is only with his wholehearted support we could make this function such a grand event. Sir, we are extremely thankful to you for the presidential address and for presiding over today's function. On behalf of the organizing committee, we express our sincere gratitude to all the dignitaries of the dais for having spared your valuable time to attend this function. The National Safety Week celebrations is the effort of a team of dedicated professionals from across our center. Dr. Benny sir, as chairman of the organizing committee, has done a fabulous job in arranging a week-long program even in these trying times. Our sincere thanks to you, sir, and to the entire team for this wonderful event. We are also thankful to the chairpersons and members of various organizing committees in organizing and conducting this year's program. I will be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge all the participants in the various competitions and events organized as part of the National Safety Week celebrations and the vendors participating in the online exhibition. We thank each one of you for your cooperation and support. Our special thanks to VSSC Fire Service for organizing an exhibition of safety and firefighting equipments for us today. A large number of agencies have contributed immensely for today's inaugural function. We gratefully acknowledge the contributions of NTSG and TTDG, without whose contributions today's program would not have been possible. We also acknowledge the support of Canteen, TOMD, Library, CMG and CISF in the conduct of today's program. Our compeer for today, Mrs. Preeti Lakshmi Mani, has done an excellent job. Our sincere thanks to you, Madam. On behalf of the organizing committee, let me thank all my fellow safety professionals whose untiring efforts has culminated in today's function. Last but not the least, I thank each one of the audience for gracing today's function with your esteemed presence. Thank you all once again. Jai Hind.
With this, we come to the conclusion of the inaugural function. Thank you one and all for making this program a great success. Have a safe day.